welcome to the new stream with Trollspeilet. There was some off-screen talk here, I believe. We are going to today have a good look at a Fresian, how he steps and should step and shouldn't and all that, and how the back plays into it. Because the high steps doesn't necessarily mean that the horse is moving really well across the back and all that jazz. So we have Mugabe, the Frisian, and his owner Mia, and they will show us today quite a journey, actually, from years ago until now. How many years? A few.
With you guys?
Yeah, in the pics.
I think the first pictures are from like 2013 or 14, something like that.
Right, cool. So we will have a look at photos and videos of that. And
of course,
yes.
these problems that they are very common in Frisian horses, but you know they are problems when they're used as riding horses. When they are used for carriage driving, they're fine.
Yep.
It's we're talking about the carrying capacity of the horse.
Yes.
And this is something that is also relevant for many other breeds.
Of course.
Yeah. So
a similar high-stepping breeds.
yeah, or you can make them high-stepping.
Yeah, that's also true, but typical like Iberian horses will do that sort of thing.
If they lose their back.
Yeah.
But they often the Frisian horses have a very long back and they are prone to like the back will be a little sway backed.
A little or a lot even.
Or a lot, and it's so they need some extra training to be able to carry the rider in a good way. So, do you want? Should we just look at the pictures first, just
Sure.
to see
Sure
if we
thing.
can see the 708? No, I'm
7087.
Yeah, he's better with numbers.
And
That
being
one.
loud.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And what do you see, Pelle?
This is going to be a long list, guys. I like to start at the back. So what I see is a absolutely straight right hind, the one that's grounded.
He's black, so yeah, it's the right one.
Yeah. And there is absolutely no power carried forward through the back here. And you can see that again when you get to the front, where you see that at about the third vertebrae of the neck, there's a distinct kind of, what do you call it? Angle, instead of being just a soft curve through there. Also, of course, if you measure in the middle of between the ears, you can see that the top of the neck is higher than that, so the horse is kind of hanging through. Still, this is not horrible riding in any way at all, and it was probably a pretty good shot from that moment.
It was.
That moment in time, right? You can also see that even if the rider is sitting a little bit back weight, the legs want to be forward. That might be because the rider isn't able to open up the hips enough out and backwards, but it might also be because the horse moves in a way that make you sit like that
and pushes the legs away.
Yeah,
and that is the contact problem.
Actually, because the contact isn't.
And since the contact
only, right?
is the third step in the German training scale,
yeah,
you need looseness and rhythm to be in order before you get the contact.
Yeah.
So, and that is exactly what we're going to talk about, how we can get the horse to come up in front and sort of balance out more.
Cool.
And should we can, if we take the picture of that was one in the front, like the poster of the stream, the 0457 picture. There he is up, and that is some time ago, isn't it, Mia?
I think it's like 3 years now.
Yeah, it was when you and I was riding up
Yep.
there. Yeah. And here he is better, and it's a good point in the movement. And that is, we always try to take the best moments so that we can really see what the developments has been. Because if you take one picture that is bad and compare it to another one that is really showing the best moment, then you don't actually see what's happening. But this is quite good, and he's lifting up, and the point behind the ears is the highest point, and there is a curve, an even curve,
Through the neck.
Through the neck.
Yep.
So, and yeah. So we're going to have a look at...
So are we going to talk more about this picture? Or are we...
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
Please.
Because there's more to be said here. So it's much better. The nose in front of the vertical. We have the curve in the neck. We have the horse much more lifted in front. But of course, it's kind of hard to tell because the front legs aren't even grounded. And if the front legs aren't grounded, you can't tell whether the horse is uphill or downhill.
True. Oh, that is a good point. Many people say, "Oh, look how uphill my horse is."
Oh yeah, you can just stop it any canter like that, and it'll look.
Yeah.
But we can keep looking, and we can see that it's kind of hard to see in the photo, but you can distinguish it if you take your time. The right hind is on the ground still, and it is quite well underneath the horse.
Yeah.
Even the outside hind is quite well underneath the horse. So that's really good. But there's a but still. You can see that the pelvis kind of falls to the inside.
Yeah.
It drops to this side. That means the right hind, even though it is in a very good position, isn't carrying properly yet. So the shape is good. The rider allows the horse to come through the seat pretty well. She even allows a little bit of air underneath there, I believe. So he's getting through even better. And all of that means that the horse is now trying or able to start developing his hindquarters as well. But of course, they still have to be developed quite a bit. And you can see there is still a little bit angular around the butt.
Yep.
The horse is still a little bit angular. He hasn't filled out with muscle there at this instant, right? But still, great photo. Rider doing a really good job.
Yep.
Not much more to be said about that then, I think.
So what we're going to do now is just to show what Mia and we together have done to train the horse. And Mia has really been very... You've been good at just doing a lot of boring stuff for a long time. And building, you're lunging and riding low and long and taking him up a little now and then, checking. And that has really given results. So shall we just start with the first one?
Yep.
And then the cool thing about all these streams is that we never remember what is... I pick the videos, and then I send them, and then we just get them served here.
Yep.
But that is the fun thing for us as well, because then it's not boring for us. We don't know what we're gonna see, and then we will be honest when we comment on what we see. And I think that is more interesting.
Completely
for you
off the
guys
cuff.
as well.
All right, let's roll the first video.
You'll tell the numbers because
103, 244.
You can see that his bum is a little up and back to the back, and then it's difficult for him to cross his hind legs. Can you say something about you're the hind leg expert?
I can say that he's struggling with it, and you can see that he's. If you look at his lumbar spine or the transition between the pelvis and the lumbar, you can see that the energy doesn't travel through there properly. His pelvis kind of wants to fall to one side or the other. So even when he now gets his proper strides with energy and all that going, it still looks like he doesn't carry through the back.
Mm-hmm. And did you see then when I always look at the neck first, but you see that in the end of the video, Mugabe makes his neck look like an S, very much. So he's collapsing his neck a lot, and that is also a thing that is difficult with Frisians because their neck is sort of very upright. It goes directly upwards from the withers.
Yep.
So they are very prone to sneaking behind the vertical, and here Mia is trying to make him walk sideways, and he doesn't want to do it, so she needs to hold the reins a little just to ask him to go sideways, just to show us this. And it's an old one, so he's much better at this now, but this is a typical thing that happens when the horse has this, the back is down. Then it's very difficult to go sideways.
Yeah, when the horse is kind of collapsed through the back, you can't get a hold of the horse in front. The horse drops behind the contact. But just let's roll to the next video.
Yes, because we have so many videos to go through.
10:06.
And here you can see the same. Here he's got a side rein just on the inside, just to see if he's able to position his head to the inside on the left hand side, and he is not. But he's very good at curling his neck and just tucking his nose behind the vertical.
Yep.
That is also a typical thing for that breed, as I find. But it's also a typical thing for many horses that have been trained with, high lift of the front legs and like very flashy strides. They end up tucking their nose behind the vertical, and then the gait becomes a little
stunted.
Yeah. Very strange, but that is something that we have to test in the beginning to see what happens if we do this.
Yeah. Sometimes now when he stretches, his back comes up. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes when he puts down a hind leg and pushes off, the energy travels forward. Sometimes it doesn't. There's a real proper intermediate.
So he's not running. He's trying to trot in a slow and controlled way.
Yep.
But he's still he's trying not to position his head to the inside and bend.
Yep.
So then we know that we need to work with. Look at that. He's really trying to lift his back, but he's not bending. Okay, next one.
He looks like a stick figure.
Yes.
A little bit, yeah. Roll next video, 5675. There we go.
So this is also something that Mia is doing. Has been doing a lot, letting him stretch with his nose to the ground, and you can't just force the horse to do this. You have to let him do it. And you can see that she's pushing him a lot with his seat, and that is not to make him go forward step, because you have your legs to work with the hind legs, but in order to get his back to start moving. Yeah. She is doing
allow that. Or even encourage the back to move with the saddle and the seat at the same time. Yeah. You can see sometimes when he stretches really low, you will see that he lifts just behind the saddle. It's kind of hard to notice, and you can't always see it, especially not now. When we change into the trot, it's going to be difficult. But at the walk, you can sometimes see that when the horse stretches proper down, you can see the back become flat. Mm-hmm. So that is a position that the horse needs to be able to reach. Mm-hmm. If the horse isn't able to reach that position while stretching from the front, he will not be able to reach the opposite position, which is the hindquarters underneath lifting the front. Mm-hmm. So the head has to be allowed to sort of lift the back up.
Yep.
And if that can't happen, then there's some tension somewhere in the horse that disallows that movement.
Yeah, we're always showing this when the horse is stretching. Many people think that is showing the horse on the forehand, and we're arguing that no, it's balanced because but it is stretching its back. And it's something that you should be able to do, but you're not supposed to do it all the time.
Yeah, I need to say something about on the forehand. Let's put this one properly in perspective. Let's say that when the horse is standing outside in the paddock or whatever it is, it's got 70% of his weight on the front legs. It has been proven that when you sit up, there's even more percentage-wise weight on the forehand. We know this.
Yes.
All right, 70%.
It's a physical fact.
That means that if you can manage to get the horse to carry 32% of the weight on the hind legs, it's no longer as much on the forehand as it was without you on top. That is a really good achievement. And when you stretch the horse, what happens isn't that you take away the weight from the forehand. What happens is that you take the impact, the time of impact, and you increase it.
Yeah.
That means that you spread that sharp impact out over a much longer time period. We're talking something like, instead of 2 100ths of a second, maybe 20 100ths of a second.
That's a lot.
That would mean a tenth of the impact force. That makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
Because it is this impact force, the speed of that impact into the ground, that is what creates, in the long run, damage to and then of course injury and such.
And then if the back is able to lift the withers up,
yeah,
then you have the time for the
yes,
rib cage to slowly sink
into the ground, as it were,
into the shoulder blades.
Into the leg and then into the ground, and it takes a long time for the weight there. So that is the first step of getting the horse from the forehand to the backhand. And if you just shorten the reins up, you will never get there.
Because then the back will be tense and down, so the horse cannot carry, and then it can't lift the front end up.
No, but of course, as we saw in the image of the canter, the horse will sometimes have its front legs in the air.
Yeah,
that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the impact when the front leg hits the ground again. That's what we're aiming for. And you can see throughout these videos, you will be able to see that more time is spent cushioning every stride.
And also you can hear the difference, because when the horse is carrying himself properly, it suddenly you can't hear the footfalls.
No. Can you hear that in these videos?
No, because we're talking all the time, so the sound is taken away. Yeah. But it's obvious, Mia can testify that he used to be very noisy when he trotted and cantered. It was like the whole cavalry was coming, and now he's like, you can't hear him.
Cool. So we move on. It's 57:57 now, isn't it?
Yeah. And this trot is better.
Why is that better? Can you tell me?
It's not better than the one with the lunging, but he is trying to not just run along and rattle along and lift his front knees up.
I'd actually say it's even better than the lunging.
Yeah, I meant that, but
it sounded like you said the opposite.
No.
Good thing we got that clear. So you can see here that the movement in his back is it's not steady. It moves sometimes really much and sometimes not at all. And then you can see that Mia's poor seat is sometimes bounced out of the saddle.
Yeah, but she's doing a great job.
A brilliant job to allow the movement through the seat.
And try to make him move.
Yeah, better. Anticipate the movement and go in front of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
There, especially when she's lifting him up.
In some instances here, you can see that the hindquarters now are really round.
Yep. That's better.
You can see that the energy is much better transferred through the sacrum and into the lower back. And sometimes it drops and sometimes it lifts.
And that's much better than being just
Absolutely.
rolled.
And you can see that sometimes you see that Mia makes what you call half halts or unilateral half halts on the inside rein. That is to take away the tension in the neck so that the energy can come all the way through the horse. This is brilliant work. This is really good, and this needs to be done a lot. This is where you build the strength of the horse. 1,000 of these.
Yes. But you can see that sometimes he's actually carrying his neck in the right way.
Yes, sometimes he is and sometimes not.
But
and
he needs to be able to go over and under and over and under just to find the balance.
Remember what we've said about the neck being so full of ligaments? When the horse moves like this, you can see that neck kind of pops in every stride. Like that. Muscle. That means that the horse builds muscle and ligaments a lot. And to build ligaments, you need a load of repetitions. And that's what you're getting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it builds quickly.
And then you get the rhythm. And Mia is doing a great job as a conductor here.
Yes.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
One boot and one shoe.
And reminding him that he needs to try to keep his rhythm.
And sometimes he opens and lifts through the withers. It's really good. This is great work. And the horse looks completely different.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's move on, eh? We've got 1,000 videos today, I think, so let's move on.
And this one is earlier, I think. Is it? Isn't it earlier? He looks...
Yeah, this is from before the video we just saw.
You can see he's much more...
Yeah, much more...
Like, how do you say that? Like he's rattling a little more along, and he's more like kanted, or would you say that?
It looks angular.
Yeah, his hindquarters are much more...
Yeah, and they're not connected. And you can see that every time the hind leg hits the ground, the knee is kind of straight and his back kind of drops every straight. It's a drop in the... And
he's stumbling.
Yeah. So completely different here from what it was a little bit earlier. I think there's a question.
Yep. Anna Cecilia, when your horse walks with his nose on the ground all the time, should I let him? Well, not all the time, but it does it a lot.
You shouldn't let him all the time. Here's the thing. You can let him sometimes if you want to. And you can tell him to sometimes if you want to. For a while. Like I do something like this. I try to stretch the horse in the beginning of the lesson. And then I bring the horse up into some outline that I figure is the best outline to train this horse at this very moment in time. And then I ride the horse there until I feel either that I have accomplished something new that I find is something that both me and the horse kind of feel that, oh, that was good. And then I let the horse stretch and rest, maybe stop, depending on what the horse wants to do. And then I will let him walk around for a little while, maybe a few minutes. And then I will take the reins back up. Normally not a few minutes. I don't have that kind of patience, but at least a few seconds. And then I take the reins back up, and I will do the same thing over. So not for more than, at the most, a few minutes at a time. 2-3 minutes is plenty, mostly, to get done whatever you want to get done with this.
Many horses, when they find out that they can stretch their neck and back like that, and they are like really happy because it's it's nice, you stretch.
Yeah. And also it saves a lot of energy because the ligaments are doing all the work now.
So they are just in love with that thing, and then they don't want to change. But then the next step is to shorten the reins, and then instead of the head and neck goes like this, it goes like this. Yeah,
if you can manage that, then you can do good
stuff. And without the back going down.
Absolutely.
And that is what is called riding.
Yeah,
riding skills.
Hope that answers your question. If not, keep them coming and we'll try again. Right, let's just move on with the videos. This is getting a little bit interesting now. Some more canter. Looks like the same session.
Yep.
And also in the canter, you can see that cluck, 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 cluck. The whole hindquarters look like they move in a funky rhythm.
Yep.
It's like even when he pulls his legs back off the ground, they look kind of jerky in their motion. That probably means that he's stretching out something a bit too much, and probably also that he doesn't really carry his weight back. And you can see that he's carrying his weight on the front. The horse feels like he's moving on his front. So here we see that that little angle probably up in the around the third vertebrae again. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
That in this instance, it seems like that means that the horse isn't coming to the contact either in the seat or in the hand. And you can see the rider struggles to follow with the seat. She's after in the movement. You see that? Mm-hmm. So she kind of comes after the horse down. And that means that the horse will always be late up, or the horse is already late to get up.
In the slow-mo, it's really easy to see that the hind legs are stiff and sort of pushing the hindquarters up instead of lifting the front up.
Absolutely.
And also, Mia is good at trying to give forwards with her hands, but he's ducking behind all the time.
Mm-hmm. She's not jerking at the reins or pulling hard or anything towards any of those ideas at all.
And this is, of course, the horse needs to train his muscles and train his body to be able to do this in a better way. And that is what we're talking about, the patient training that she's been doing with the horse for several years.
Yeah.
To train his strength and coordination.
Anna Cecilia says that her horse is not ridden, it's in the hand. Mm. Same thing applies.
You can take up Anna Cecilia. You can take up the outside rein also in the hand, and ask him to concentrate to take the outside rein, even though you're positioning him to the inside, and then it's easier for you to make him take the contact.
Yep, absolutely. Alrighty then, let's roll next. We're learning.
And here is the stretching.
This is just about now because I recognized my motorbike.
Yeah, it was taken just before
the spring.
Just before 2 weeks ago, because we were supposed to have the stream then, but somebody was ill.
Yeah. All right. So he's trying now to stretch.
Mm-hmm. And he's trying to position his head. You see?
Yes. And there's less tendency of his nose pulling back.
Mm-hmm.
There's a larger stride in the front legs.
So the shoulders are more free?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the energy from the hind legs moves forward from what I can see.
Mm-hmm.
That's really difficult to see. But
I usually try to watch the back right behind the saddle and see if there is muscle activity there.
Yeah.
And if that part of the back is lifting up when the horse kicks off with his hind legs.
Yep.
But then what we wanted to show here is how he stretches. And here he's actually trying to bend while he's stretching.
Yeah.
And that is very good for stretching the diagonal from the inside hind leg and diagonally over the back and to the outside of the neck.
Right.
And stretch the whole body. And then you, of course, have to do it on the other side so that the horse becomes straight.
Cool.
Yep. Next one.
Yeah. Let's roll.
And I think this is the same work.
More of the same.
Yeah. I just thought that we'd watch the whole, all of the videos.
Oh, you can see him positioning. That's what you're looking at. All right, I get you. Sometimes he overbends, and sometimes he positions.
But this was really difficult for him to position his head to the inside.
Yes.
On the left hand.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is very good, and then you've really worked a lot with that.
And that area, the frontmost area of the neck is extremely sensitive. So if there's anything there that's stiff or uncomfortable for the horse, that will have repercussions for all your riding.
Yes.
To such a degree that some of the old writers about horses, they start with just making the horse, what do you call it, supple in the tongue.
Yeah.
And then the jaw. And then positioning. And they just worked very, very particularly with that to get all that loose. And then they started over working from behind.
Yeah, and here you see that Mia is when she's positioning and he's trying to stretch.
Yeah.
She lets him stretch. But
Yeah.
he's trying to find the contact as well
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
And this is so good for the diagonals. And then you get the diagonality of the horse, and then you find the rhythm, and then he will stop doing this exaggerated movement.
Yep.
Yep. Next
Let's
one.
roll next.
And here you can see that he's trying his lateral movement again, and this is interesting because now you can see the trouble with crossing his hind legs while he is stretching the front. It's really difficult for him.
It looks like his right hind leg isn't long enough. It is.
Yeah, and you've checked. Yeah. And you know.
And you can
Mia
see that hesitation in the air.
Yeah.
That means there's something funky with the other hind leg.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it isn't difficult to move your leg through the air. That's not the problem. But on its way over, it has to do some funky movement. There can be some funkiness inside there, but it means that something isn't doing its job right. And you can see the left hind, the off hind, is standing on the ground for a long, long time in a very, very weird angle. You see that?
Yeah.
But he's doing really good. He got softer and softer, very, very jerky in the movement here in the start, and it gets better and better. And you can see his neck is way more powerful, especially just in the back of the neck towards the saddle.
And you can see that Mia is not pulling at the rein to make him curl his neck. He's doing that on his own.
Yes.
And she's trying all the time to make him stretch. But it doesn't help to just give him all the reins because he'll
do the same fault there, just in a longer.
Yeah, but now you can see that through this video, he's getting better and better at bending and crossing his hind legs.
Yeah.
So this is something that you have to practice. When the horse can't do it, you have to try to ask him to do it anyway and do his best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's roll next again.
Yeah.
Now
he's stretching again, and now you can see, and what we're looking for here is that where Mia is calling it the reversed digging machine. You know, here can you see his head is moving? If he was an excavator,
yeah,
he's doing.
He's pushing his nose forward a bit.
Yes, there.
There you go.
That movement is a very, very good sign that the back is doing his job.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to become behind the vertical, and then when he's starting to move correctly with the rest of his body,
yeah,
he will have this strange flipping motion with his
So
head.
we saw in the beginning that when he tried stretching, he stretched with his head way behind the vertical, and now it is in front.
And he looks looser in his whole body.
Yeah.
And there's also more 4 beat to the walk instead of a more like 2 beat that he has a lot of tendencies to have.
Yeah, he likes his pacing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Quite typical for horses that are very loose in their musculature or in their ligament systems. So you have the Icelandic horses tend towards that because everything is just given.
Flopping about.
Yeah, flopping around. Right, this is good. Let's roll on again.
Next one. And here's the
other
same
way.
on the other side.
That's also important. Both ways.
Yeah.
Huh? Wow.
And here is the way that he has been very difficult for him to position himself.
Oh yeah,
to that
he's
side.
trying though.
Yeah. And now you can see that the horse is interested.
Yeah.
He knows that he can feel that, oh, I really want to stretch that
Oh, there we go.
part.
This is the way. Oh, and he stumbled.
Yeah, because it's difficult.
So
but
typical.
He has to just be allowed
Just
to struggle.
but just in that instant when you can feel it. Oh, he's getting. Then he will stumble. Always. Just get used to it.
But now you can see he's trying to lift his back.
Yeah.
And that is the...
How can you see that?
You always ask difficult questions.
Oh, of course.
I just see it.
Yep.
It's training.
Yeah, well, because I don't see it.
It's how he's moving his the rest of his body.
All right. But let's say, let's start somewhere. I can see that sometimes here his abs kind of work.
Yeah, that is a very good sign.
So that means that there's something going on.
Yeah,
That's
you can
related
see
to the back.
When the abs muscles, his stomach muscles, is
You can also,
moving like that.
Yeah, what I see is that whenever the inside hind hits the ground, he pushes his pelvis forward.
Yep.
Like the tail goes down forward. Boom, boom, every time. You see that? That means that the pelvis moves the right way, and therefore he lifts his back. So you can see it like a whole, the whole thing.
Yeah.
While what I look at is the details. That's the way my brain works.
Yeah. I look for details as well, but especially this over the back thing is something that I've looked for so many years. So it's sort of, I am not quite sure what I look at.
Yep, cool. Let's roll next.
And now we're trying the lateral movements again.
The other way.
We must take both ways, and that's interesting now at this level.
So from what I can see, it seems like the knee and hip and hock aren't quite. They're not quite agreeing yet who is supposed to do which job. Yeah, but it's really good work because the horse keeps trying different things in his hind leg. It's like, do I move the hind sideways now, or is it now? Do I push my butt underneath? How much of everything do I need to do? And the cool thing about that is that the rider doesn't have to sit there and reward or accept or whatever it is every little aspect, because getting in balance will get all that right.
Yep.
And the rider will then be balanced on top of the horse.
Yeah, that is important. You need to let the horse struggle and find not the movement that we praise, but the movement that is good for the horse.
Yeah.
And when the horse finds that movement, he will be happy.
Yep. Because the movement makes him balanced.
Yes.
And being balanced is a good thing for the body, or the entity, if you like. And because it is a good thing, the brain will reward that movement.
Yes.
This is why kids move so much.
And they're so happy when they find a good movement.
Yeah.
And we are as well.
Yeah.
Many times when a student in our clinics can find the good movement, the horse is moving beautifully, and you can see they light up.
Yeah. I saw on our way here, I noticed a kid. I thought he was going to bike into the street, so I noticed him. He was not an old kid, like 9 maybe, and he made a turn into the biking lane, and just after the turn, he got up and he really pushed hard. And he was in his way, I think, home from football practice. He was wearing his football jersey, and there is no football field in the direction he was biking, so I'm supposing he was on his way home.
Yeah, and he had fun.
And he had fun. There was nothing else going on there. There was no one watching. Well, me, but he didn't notice that. And he just wanted to push hard for his own.
Because it was fun.
Because it's fun to bike hard.
Okay, let's see.
Made me smile.
Next one. Yeah. Look at that movement of the back. I like that. You can see that from the way Mia's hips work.
Yeah.
And he's still digging his head a little too low.
Yeah.
But at this stage, we need to concentrate on the back. Because if he is able to carry, like with his back in the right movement, it's easier for him to get his hindquarters under, and then he will be able to lift his neck up.
Yeah. You have to have a strong bridge.
Yes, the bridge.
You can't put a huge engine on a little gearbox.
And you see her, she's trying to let him stretch. And we're going to see some videos now of Mugabe stretching more and more. And when his nose comes in front of the vertical, there will be a change in the lightness of the body and the movement.
Yeah. Still, if you look really well, you can see now that when he stretches the inside hind forward, the lower back is lifting.
Yeah.
Not every stride.
And you can see. Can you see the movement of the muscles? The light on the
just
behind the saddle.
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah.
That is a sign that he's actually lifting his back now.
Yep.
Then he's over the back.
You can also see that when the inside hind hits the ground, you can see the hamstring muscle thicken up.
Yeah, good.
So now we're training. This trains strength.
His position to the inside on the left side.
Yeah.
That means that he's relaxing in his muscles, in his neck. And it was difficult to...
It wasn't supposed to canter, were we? But we were working on the right thing. Working on power from that inside hind, letting that power through while keeping the positioning.
And that's the diagonal that we were talking about.
Yeah. Really good.
Yep. Next one? Or...
I'm good for next one.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And here we're trying a little more to the lateral movement, and that is difficult in the trot. No, Mom, that is so difficult. And she said, yeah, you have to try. Because then again, you get that diagonal, and that gives him a little more lift. And then you got, it's easier to get a good strike off into the canter if she does that lateral movement before the canter.
Yeah. And now the horse looks round behind.
Yeah, you can see the back muscles. They're flashing, flash.
That means they're not tense,
and now
but they're working.
Stretching him.
Yeah.
And seeing, can he keep up the balance while she's not holding his head?
Yeah. The saying goes, the horse needs to be able to stretch all the way down at walk, trot and canter.
Yeah. And look at that. Look at the seat. It's much easier to sit on this.
Yeah. She looks much less late in the movement. And sometimes in front or just at the movement. Really good. Really nice. Nice progression. Let's go again. The other way.
The other way.
The way that right hind didn't work this day. That's for sure.
Does it ever?
Well, you can apply that to every horse,
Yep.
really? Does the right hind really do its job? No, it doesn't.
But it's trying.
Yeah.
And what he's doing is he's trying to stretch his neck at the same time as he's doing the crossing over of the hind legs.
Yeah.
And then he must stretch his back.
Yeah.
One diagonal.
If you manage to let him stretch there at that while moving sideways on the diagonal, then the back will stretch.
Yeah. And this is a very good exercise for a horse that is weak in his back.
Good.
Look at that.
Good boy.
And then he almost found his rhythm in the hind leg. Very, very nice. Let's just keep him coming.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to do it at the trot now, are we?
I think it's going to be a strike off, isn't it, Mia?
I don't know. I think I was trying to do the strike off.
All right.
And then here's the same positioning to the inside and then letting him stretch.
So wonky in that right hind.
Yeah, you can. We'll see the strike off again, and you'll see that the back drops while he's striking off, which means that the ignition pattern in the musculature between the back and the hind legs isn't correct.
And then it's much more difficult to fix it while the horse is moving, but it is possible.
It's possible. It's really hard though.
Yeah, it's really hard to change the footfall, but you can still train the strength in the back.
Yes, absolutely.
So
That you can do.
Yeah. So we're trying here to just do some training, and not looking for the
Not at all.
correct or perfect thing. But you see, he's trying to stretch.
Yeah, and
this is the interesting thing.
Yeah.
His neck is getting longer and longer, and the back is getting more and more stretched.
Yeah.
You look at that. And that is not something that Mia does.
Let's watch the strike off.
Yeah.
So you'll see that in the first stride at the canter, he dropped his back.
Yeah, and he's trying to do the strike off with his neck.
Yeah.
He
tries to throw the whole forehand up.
Yeah, and then pulling his forehand up via the underneck. And that is that's a common pattern.
Yes.
And that is not, then the horse will not move off the back. But then
then you can kind of bypass the problem of the hindquarters by way of letting the horse now stretch in the canter like this.
Yep.
Until it stretches out those muscles behind the withers that try to lift the front end and then disconnects the front and the rear.
Yep.
Because that is what happens in that strike off. The disconnect comes because the front end wants to jump up, and the hind end just goes up too, and then the horse moves like this through the back instead of like that through the back.
And many horses have great difficulties in doing correct strike off, but you can practice while just doing this and letting him stretch.
Yeah.
Shall we see the next one?
For sure.
And then now she's doing this in trot. And this is something that is interesting. We have some stills afterwards that we can look at to see the difference. But let's see first if we can see it in while we can see them moving. You can see that he's still on the forehand.
Yeah. You can feel the clunkiness of the front legs.
Yeah. So he's trying to lift his front legs with his underneck, even though he's really stretching.
Yeah.
And there is, I don't remember where it comes, but there is a point where he's...
Yep, about here, I think.
Yeah, because you've studied this to make the stills, because we've taken some stills out from the video. And then he's snorting. And then he is really trying. He knows what he's supposed to do, because he's done it before, and he knows that it will be very nice. But it's difficult because, there's a coordination thing. It's just like dancing on the line.
Why is she standing up?
Yeah.
There you go.
There
you go.
Yeah. She's standing up just to make sure that the horse can move his back freely.
Right.
You can see that she's cushioning the movement in her ankle, her knee, and her hip joint.
Yes.
And the hip joint is so important to observe.
Yeah.
You see that bounce,
So
bounce, 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 bounce with her body.
Yeah.
So the hip joint, I have to repeat this, it's the joint between the thigh bone and the pelvis. And her spine should be as stable as possible.
It's the joint just above the phone.
Yeah, just above her phone pocket. Yeah, there you can see it. Doink, 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 doink. It's important.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's in the next video that we... No, perhaps not. Is there another video? I don't remember. But can we look at the two pictures 7195 first, and then we look at that one, because then you could see the difference. The picture 71, there it is. He's on the front and on the forehand now.
Yes.
But he's moving forwards, so it's not that bad. But it's because the hind leg is still kicking off and trying to lift the front. But if we look at the 7197, there you can see he flies.
Yes.
This is upwards.
Yep.
This is lifting the front.
Mm-hmm. It looks like the whole horse got taller.
Yeah.
How did you make him taller, Mia? Some cheatery going on here, I think.
She's been
Yep.
struggling for a long time.
Okay, you struggle and then it becomes tall.
Yep.
But
Cool.
this is about letting the horse find the balance and not forcing him to do anything. Because when he's like that, the horse really knows this is much better. It feels better.
And I cannot balance for him. He has to do it by himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you balance,
So
it's
if-
easier for him.
If we look at
Yeah.
these, look at the images again, you can see that. Can we take the 95 one first? This is the one? Thank you. So if we look at the diagonals, the left hind and the right fore, the right fore is on the ground for just a split second longer than the left.
Yes.
The next picture, please. So it is the same instant, but the inside hind is much closer to the ground already and gripping much more forward and is lifting much more through the back. So even if the footfalls are almost identical in those two photos, the body of the horse looks completely different.
Yep.
You can't always read it in the footfalls. It's not possible to always read it in the footfalls, and that's why we sort of started this one out by saying 70% on the forehand. Now it's less.
I think it's easy to see.
You can't flick a switch that's horse on the forehand, horse carrying from behind. There's no switch there.
No, no, it's a
Would be
gradual. Yeah,
It's
gradual
a very
switch.
gradual process.
It's a pot
that.
meter.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that we have this picture from that we forgot to. Do you remember that one? The one that we're talking about? Because I wanted to say that this stretching does not mean that you're not going to work the horse in a higher form. This is also, I think, this spring. Yeah,
Yep,
it's
this spring.
quite recently, and you see how he's up in the front to the bit, and he's still perhaps a tiny bit behind the vertical.
Yeah.
But it's much better than it was.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't look like a stick figure anymore.
No.
No, looks powerful, and I bet you he feels powerful too.
Yeah. There we go. So I wanted to add this.
Can we go back to 70-87?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Different horse.
It's the same horse.
Nobody will believe you.
No.
Yeah, can we get back to the new one so we can switch back and forth between the the one on the turnating. The one there,
Very,
that
very
one.
good,
Yeah,
thank you.
because you
So
can see
his
the
neck
power
is
in
what?
his neck.
Yeah, it's twice as big.
And in order to carry the forehand, the horse actually needs to have a powerful neck and back muscles.
This is very interesting. I spent years and years not understanding this. And I proved it to myself by not making the neck of my horse very stronger. Yay! That was not my best moments in time. But lately, we have been, or at least I have been, working quite a lot on understanding how to lift weights and all that properly, as you all know. And if you search for such things on the good old YouTube, you will not be able to avoid all the people who have cheated their way into a lot of muscle. So yeah, they train as hard as anyone, of course, but they also shoot up themselves with testosterone or other growth hormone things, which will enhance all the response the body has to training. And even without training, you will probably gain muscle mass. The reason I say this is that when the body is given more testosterone, it'll build a massive neck. And big traps, like huge bumps on top. Well, I don't have them, but hey. But I
ones
don't
here,
cheat. These muscles here, they will grow and become like a big bump. It looks like you've got two sets of shoulders, one there and then one other set of shoulders. And these people are kind of, you could argue that they are in a very weird way, and not to be repeated, super healthy, if you understand what I mean. They have super muscle. So they have super good posture.
Yeah.
And the horse, if we go back to see the last picture again, please. I'm sorry to make such a mess for the poor guy in the office here. You can see that the horse now has super muscle in his neck, much thicker neck, that enables him to keep such a high and tough posture.
And isn't that interesting that all this low and long training actually gives him bigger neck muscles?
Yeah, what I personally believe is that when you allow the horse to stretch, like we have shown now, it isn't the hours and hours of stretching so much. It is that if the horse can't stretch, allow him to try again. If he can't stretch, allow him to try again. And then that might take hours and hours. But that's not what builds muscle. What happens is that when the horse is able to stretch, muscle build like this.
Yes. Exactly.
That's what happens.
That's happening.
I know this because I've done it myself. I've gone straight from this from the untangling business, loosening up my neck muscles here, and gone straight to the training room and lifted heavier than I've ever been able to before. And when you lift heavier, you know what happens? You build more muscle. So when the horse then is able to get into a position where he can actually carry his neck and his back with his neck and back muscles, they just go pop.
Yep, they're popping out.
Yeah,
and also
that is,
the traps.
And that's an important thing. Mia has been saying several times over the last few days that sometimes my seat has been sometimes good and sometimes not good. And that's also because sometimes the horse has got into one of those pop and built a lot of muscle, and then he helps you move better. And it helps you move better because you haven't always been able to move good because the body has been struggling, especially wintertime and stuff like that. So if the horse then moves well, he helps the rider. And these things grip into each other, and it's super important to understand these things. So if you sit there with short reins and train and nothing happens, there's something wrong. If the horse doesn't just go pop, then you try and stretch him. See what happens. See if you can get his nose on the ground. Can you get his nose on the ground? If you can't get his nose on the ground, where does it stop? Can you feel that? Can you feel it underneath the saddle, that it kind of runs, this wave comes through the horse's back and just runs into some wall somewhere?
Or the horse starts running.
Yeah, it just runs faster and faster, and you drop the reins and off you go. All those things can also happen, right? And they're quite common.
Yeah, quite.
Yes.
Yeah, very.
So pay attention to those things and see if you can utilize some of the ideas that Mia has been doing in these videos. Sideways, stretching, shorter, canter, walk and trot, all those gaits. And then you can bring the horse from being a stick figure into being a powerhouse.
Yeah. And of course, we're talking about many of these things in all the previous streams. So all of the things that we're talking about goes into training a horse. So that is why we have so many streams, because it's complex.
It's complicated. Very good. I think we are done with Mia and Mugabe for the day. We're off to have our summer now. Are we going to have one more stream before summer?
I think we have time.
We have time. We got time. All right, so we got time. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we will bring you something more interesting. Pay attention to our channels on the old YouTubes, on Facebook, and shoot us messages to ask for things. There's a fly. If you have particular questions that you would like answered, we are happy to try and answer. So I hope you've enjoyed this evening with us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Bye.